Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm out here in my garden. It's windy, of course, because it's always windy here. And there's not that many bees out here right now because I think they had to maybe go in because it's so windy. What I have here is what I did over there, which was I'd seen it and I thought, oh, I'll give it a try. You just put a bag of soil there and you open it up because, for one thing, I have two problems back here. I have very terrible crabgrass. You can see it growing up right there. It's been a real hard problem to get rid of. And gophers. Lots and lots of gophers. So, yeah, so I did this. And it's pretty easy. You just sort of cut it out and leave it in a bit of like a basket shape. And then you can put your seeds in there. I think it's better to use these for seedling. This over here is cilantro that I've let go to seed, and the butterflies and actual flies. Did you know that flies are also pollinators? We've got flies there, bees, butterflies, and then it's going to be producing the seed of the cilantro has a different name. I forget what it is. And it is used a lot in Indian cooking. So, God, I forget what they're called. Um, Anyways, they go to seed pretty quick. And they're just a beautiful little flower. And, you know, that some people like the smell, some people hate the smell, just like cilantro. People hate and love the way it tastes. This is bee borage. Highly recommend anytime you plant any kind of a garden, always plant bee borage. And then down here we have oregano. These are really opening these little packs, and I specifically bought some smaller bags to do this with, is opening these little packs like this. And you cut holes on the bottom of it, you know, slice holes on the bottom, but you don't have to worry about crabgrass growing in them, weeds, or gophers tearing them up. This is my oregano, which is just amazing, right next to the basil. And, you know, I'm just kind of messing around with a few things. I just had a box and then I popped this Nespresso. Cash Vivi, hey, how's it going, girl? Thank you. I just popped these beets in there. I thought, oh, I'll give that a try. The box is kind of holding them up. Trying recycling. This is lemon thyme. I like things that smell a lot. I pretty much love things that have a beautiful, fresh, organic aroma. This is where I took out my zucchini because zucchini's not going to work. Here, I just don't feel we get enough sun, and there's too much moisture in the air, and it ends up getting diseased. But I do have all these, which are all of my carrots. Root crops to grow amazing here. Now, these aren't ready yet, but you can see if we go down here. Sometimes I like to wait till I can see just the hips of the carrots. And then I also have some blackberries growing here and potatoes. I've already harvested some of the potatoes. I haven't harvested any of the carrots. I put them in later. Here we have more of those bags. This is a really easy. Basil tea? No, I haven't. I do know there's a herb. I think it's indigenous to India. It's called holy basil. I think that's different than the American basil that we grow here. I have more of these here, but I think I have had some of that holy basil. How are you doing today, Cash Vivi? And so we've got these 2 bags here, and I put flowers in them. I thought I would just grow some flowers. I also had put flowers over in here, going to grow some flowers along there. And this is primarily going to be my lettuce. Hey, Henry Hickson, how are you today? But I realized after I did this, I this is not, I don't really need this for lettuce. It's too deep. So next season, instead of having the potatoes over here, I'm going to put all the potatoes and carrots in here. I actually do have some carrots in here. And then over here, I'm just going to grow exclusively lettuces and things like that because they don't need all this depth. So that was a bit of overkill there. And these flowers are just so beautiful, and the bees really love them. I had a dream about bees last night. Someone was afraid of bees. I know a lot of people are afraid of bees, but bees are something that really should be honored and revered because bees save our asses every day with their pollination. And if it weren't for the pollination, we wouldn't have more than 3/4 of the food we have right now. You know what, Cash, Vivi? I think my favorite flower has to be a rose. I love, right now I'm into a rose that's called Mr. Lincoln. It just smells absolutely beautiful. And then this is my chair that I sit in next to my worm bucket. I used to do my composting in there. I could start it up again anytime. And what you do is you sink this bucket in the ground, drill a bunch of holes in it. You sink it in the ground. Make sure it's in a spot that you're not going to really immediately grow things in. And then you put a little bit of soil and you just keep adding all of your compostables. You could put anything in here. You could put meat, you could put fish, you can put bread, because it's going to go back in the earth. And the best thing about it is you don't have to worry about any critters getting to it because you put on a lid. See, this has a lid, a very tight fitting lid. So you put that, you dig a hole, you put this in the ground, and you just start filling it with a little bit of dirt and a whole bunch of food, any kind of bread, rice, anything. Oh my gosh, the worms just love it. And then you're making yourself fresh compost as well as bringing a bunch of worms into your yard, which are very good because they're just as beneficial as the bees. You honor the worm as well as the bee, because if we didn't have the bees or the worms, we'd really be in trouble. This is a lettuce I'm going to be growing there. I'm really interested to see how this turns out. It's called Paris Island lettuce. And I am able sometimes to buy these in the store. A lot of times you can see them at Costco. Large spoon-shaped leaves that fold into an upright, loose head. It's very crisp, tender, and more nutritious than iceberg head lettuce. This cool weather vegetable can also withstand warm weather. So I'm planting this now to help me get through of course, I'm not going to be able to have lettuce for a while, but we're having huge problems over here in the United States thanks to MAHA, Make America Healthy Again, because they cut all of our controls to help us be healthy. So now we are at the whim of everybody who wants to bring things in cheaply and unverified, and everybody's getting sick. I actually got sick at the very beginning of the outbreak, extremely sick. Was kind of under the radar when that happened. It was a packaged salad mix. So I have a very sensitive biome and I will get sick easily. Anyways, that's my chair. I come out here in the morning, have my black coffee Monday with it. And I have this over here. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to be planting in that. Oh, do you grow mushrooms? I love mushrooms. Got to be careful. I do know that they can make you sick. And then I have this beautiful plant over here. I thought that the bees would really like this, but they're not really that into it. And I had to put this gate up because my dog will eat anything that's dead or dead smelling or manure, dung, anything like that. He will just eat it till he gets sick. He almost died one time from, I had put down some sort of manure or something. And that's when I had to give him the Vaseline sandwich, of which I've talked about on my channel before. This is my lime tree, which is having a bit of a problem now. I added a ton of fresh soil down to the bottom, and I'm hoping that helps. Because one thing I like about having a garden, let's see if this bee goes for the flower, is you can just go out there and pick a few things that you need for the day, like just a couple potatoes. Next, I'll show you all my little eggplants. Hey, GW, how are you today? Yes, very much so. The healthcare here is, I'm lucky because I belong to a health maintenance organization. I have almost since the day I was born. So I'm lucky with that. I actually have had pretty good healthcare when I've had it. There have been times when I haven't, when I was very poor. Oh yeah, affordability, it's an issue for everybody. You have to have good jobs to live here. And so this is my fence to keep my dog out of there. This is the first time I've ever actually been able to have a real garden because my dog, you need to use those kinds of things in your gardens. You need to use things that smell dead, dead, rotting things for, to have your plants grow, right? And he just gets in there and you can't tell him no. This was something I'm very proud of. I had this vision of this hedge here to sort of separate this and make this area over here into like a little private room. Not quite done with it yet, still working on it. As you can see, this had to be cut down. This is a honeysuckle, which I love very much, but it was overcrowded with too much dead, as you can see here. So that had to all be routed out, and just a little bit of the sage left, which smells so amazing. Sage and turkey, of course, go together very well. If you plant enough herbs, you can just come out in your garden and get a healing in your yard. How are you doing today, GW? What's going on? This is my greenhouse. I have this up on half of my greenhouse because it's really called the hot house. It gets hella hot in there. I've got my beautiful ferns growing here. This fern is really cool. Look how weird it is down there, all those roots. This one's suffering a little bit. It's not really getting the attention it deserves, nor has it gotten any vitamins or minerals in a while, so I can only blame myself. They all need to be repotted. This fern over here I grew from a bulb. Let's go in the hothouse. Oh, it's a mess in here. But you know what? Greenhouses are supposed to be messy. I'm going to turn this fan off for a sec while we're in here. I keep 2 fans going because the thing about eggplants is they need to be pollinated. They need to be pollinated, but they are self-pollinating. So let's see if I can find a flower here. I don't have any flowers right now because everything's just really growing so well. I might be at the end of the season of these eggplants. If you can see, I've got a lot of eggplants in there. And I did a little harvesting yesterday and made some Italian type eggplant. It was delicious. Anyways, these flowers, the only way they propagate, reproduce, is they have to be, they have to have wind. So they need some wind to come and help them to move around because there's no male and female. Like with a lot of plants, there's a male and a female, and that's how that pollination occurs. You're going to become an Ayurvedic doctor. Wow. I love that. I am so much in love with Ayurveda. I have a lot of books on it. And then here's something I also had to do because I am having a huge gnat infestation. You might even see them flying around. And the gnats are annoying, yes, but the worst thing about them is they lay their eggs in the soil and then their babies come out and they're worms and they eat the roots. So what I had to do was I had to get pretty heavy-handed with this, and I am using these pellets. Where are they? Let's show you. They look like this. They come in a circle. They call them this mosquito dunks. So the only thing that really kills the larva that's in the soil is you have to put it in the water. So looks ugly in here. It's not that beautiful. It's kind of like a swampy bog. See that? It's a swampy bog, but it just got out of control. I'll show you. This is filled with, that's how many, even more than that. That's all the bugs that come in here. That is all the mosquito gnats. So I keep those to kind of monitor, and there's a lot on there. And I need to put some fresh ones in because that's all dead mosquito gnats. So I've really had to change things up in here. And I'm also having an aphid issue. Let's see if we can see some of the aphids. There's a black one right there. Those are the ones that lay the eggs. And you can see there's a few eggs on there. So I've had to use a lot of natural methods in here. This here is diatomaceous earth that I've sprayed on the leaves. And then on the back, I've sprayed some neem, and I can see this little guy. I sprayed the neem this morning and killed him. So yeah, so there's a lot of bugs that want to eat everything. See, this is what they look like when they're alive. I believe he's still alive. No, he's not, because I sprayed the back of all these leaves with the neem. See, he's dead too. So it does work. It's just a lot of effort, but it's worth the effort to just come out here and pick a few things that I need on a daily basis. So that's that. That's what we got going on in here. These are, I think, escarole, arugula, basil, which I harvested yesterday and made some pesto. This is the Thai basil, which is growing amazingly, and I use this all the time with the eggplants that I'm growing. This is just some regular curly leaf lettuce. These are onion starts. And I am going to do a thorough tour here. Let's go. Let's look over here, and then I'll head around back in the front. This was some lavender that I bought that has been really disappointing, even though it's pretty and I love things that are variegated. When I bought it, it had really pretty pink lavender on it. And I've had this plant for about 3 years now, and it has never produced lavender again. So I don't know what goes on with this plant. It's certainly in a proper location, but it just does not produce any more lavender. But the leaves smell very much like lavender. So a lot of times I'll just go like that. And I cleaned out my fountain yesterday. So that's looking good. We get a lot of bird action. I don't feed the birds, but I do give them a lot of water. And this is a really nice rose that I made some rose oil from. These are very fragrant yellow roses. And got some lavender over there. And let's see, growing some chives in here. This is not a very good location. Things don't grow very well over here. They do not get much sun at all. So let's come around and we'll walk on these pavers around to the front. And let's look and see what's out here. I also cleaned this fountain this morning. It was full of, it's gone now, but it was pretty green. I watered this. I love this asparagus fern. It's just gorgeous to me. Let's look at them. Anyways, let's come over to here. This one is on its way out now. I had cut back. I need to cut back that too. I don't want it to continue putting out flowers because our season here is very short for things like tomatoes, very short. And I've got a lot of tomatoes off of this, and they've been really good because I did not give them very much water, so they really developed a great flavor. Because if you overwater tomatoes, they taste watery. So these were early girl tomatoes. First tomato of the season, keeps producing until frost. And there's the bear, the hairy bear. Yeah, he's very clean though. He's very clean. This is one of my eggplants. I sort of have them growing in succession. This eggplant here, these eggplants look much different. I don't know if you can remember what those other ones look like. When I grow them outside, the leaves get very purple. And this one has some eggplants on it, but the problem with this one is it's so short to begin with. Hopefully it's going to gain some height because they need height in order to, bear the weight and the size of an eggplant, as you can see right here. I've got 2 eggplants right there. So they need, they need space to grow long because they're going to grow long. And you can just see how beautifully, and even the flowers, this is what one of the flowers looks like. Isn't that pretty? Even the flowers on the outside get very purple. Look at how purple that is. None of the ones I'm growing on in the hothouse have gotten this purple. So these are very purple. And I thought I'd give another try with zucchini. Excuse me. I don't seem to have much luck with it. And once again, all I have is the males. This is what the males look like. When the males come out, it's just very skinny. And let me try and show you a female. This is what a female looks like. When the female comes out, she's already a little bit more bulbous. We see a female, and as you can see right next to her is a male. There's the female, there's the male. Female on the left, male on the right. Now, zucchini needs male and female because if you're going to look here, you're going to see inside of there's little bugs crawling around. Now, these little bugs need to crawl around from this to the female, to this over here, to this male, and they need to sort of go back and forth, which is what they have a tendency to do, and that's how you're going to get your pollination. Oh, looks like I might have another female right here. See, they come out, and you can just tell. That is a female right there. They just come out looking different than the male. They're already bulbous when they come out. So these I'm not going to hand pollinate at all. I'm just going to let them grow, and we'll see what happens. These are an Italian zucchini. Let's see, where's the paper on that? They're very different looking. And I don't even know if I've even ever seen one of these in the store. This is called an heirloom zucchini romanesco. And I think I think they might be yellow and green, but I think the color has faded. Italian heirloom known for traditional flavor and style, and prized for its creamy, sweet flesh. The tender, plump fruits are classically striped in dark green with slight ridges. Edible blossoms hold well on fruits to stuff or saute as a summer delicacy. So 48 days. So we'll see. These were grown in the Kawahara nurseries in Morgan Hill. Japanese used to be very, very involved in the agricultural system in the United States, especially California. So, yeah, so that's the zucchini. That's what's happening with the zucchini. That's a beautiful plant. And then we have this here. This is in its last days. I got to come and cut off. I don't want it to be putting any more energy into flowers. These have been some of the best tomatoes I've ever had in my life. A very unique flavor. And for a while there, what I was doing was feeding watering them from the bottom only. And I think that really contributed to the unique flavor on that. But I still got quite a few more here to grow. As long as we can keep some of the sun going. There's that eggplant again. I think that eggplant is just beautiful. The purple on it is so like almost a glowing phosphorescent. I don't think you can actually really appreciate what that looks like. Now, the ones outside, I don't need to do the fans, of course, because they're going to get natural ventilation and the natural air moving around. And my ones that I have outside have a lot less aphids. It's not really the perfect environment for them as it is in my greenhouse. But I do notice that this one has a bit of a mold problem, so I'm not sure what to do about that. Anyways, that was just some clippings I did today. And then we've got this and we've got that. And that is what we have going on there. Growing on. We have this growing on. And that's a lot of tomatoes right there. And these tomatoes have a thick skin and a very firm flesh. And when you cut them up and saute them, they really hold their flavor, and each individual one, its unique firmness as you cut up the tiny pieces. It doesn't just flop into nothing like most tomatoes do. Now, I'm not taking this as a bad sign. I just think tomatoes definitely have a lifespan. And then I also actually have more tomatoes growing and more carrots growing and more beets growing. I got my garden started late, so things are coming in late, but that's okay. And potatoes, it's actually, for a small family, you can get a little something to eat every day. Like I said, grow your own food. Grow your own food. Grow some things. When I have onions coming in, it's going to be great. And get yourself a bag of rice. You've already got your starch with your potatoes. You don't even need rice, but we love rice, right? And you're going to be doing good. Get yourself a few chickens, and I think you'll do great. There we go. Let's flip that camera. Turn that down. And relax for a couple minutes. Yeah, so that's how long did it take? Almost took me like a half an hour to go through all those things. Yeah. I'm really focusing in on growing my own food and seeing what I can grow here. I have a really good climate here, but it's not suitable for growing a lot of things. It just doesn't get that hot here. Say, for instance, I would be surprised if it's even 70 here today. I would say the average temperature here, if you were to just average it out, is probably like about 62 degrees, is what would be the average temperature here. And it's also super, super moist. So you are going to have more funguses and things growing on your plants, like what I had over there. So, anyways, that's it for me for now. Thanks everybody who stopped in and said hi, Cash Baby, GW. Seems like it might be a good time to take a nap right now. All right, everybody, this is your host on the coast, coming to you from somewhere off the coast of nowhere.